going to get into the last topic. I saved this one for the last. I want to welcome in the 407 people that are watching. This one is very exciting, and nerdgasms are happening in my pants right now. So let's just get ready. Pause. Hold on a sec here. So I have a story here that was posted by the one and only Jez Corden. And, look, like you heard me say before, this all started with a YouTuber known as Canadian Guy. I have now subscribed to his channel. Folks, this dude is connected. Like, it's not like he's like running on a rumor. He's literally reading in his video an email from the head of the studio. Like this is not a joke. This isn't like, oh, we're making it up. This is one of those vetted conversations that you literally were just talking about, because it's happening. Now, what are we talking about? Well, again, I want to read verbatim from the story. It was written by Jez Corden of Windows Central. I will, of course, attach not only Canadian Guy's video so you can go watch it, which I've watched it 3 times, but I also will add Jez's story so you can check it out, right? So I want you to check it out as well. So the title of the story is Skylanders Studio Toys for Bob says they would love to work on a Banjo Kazooie since going independent of Xbox, all in this new interview. Now, the story goes on to say, and I want to read verbatim, Toys for Bob, known for games like Spyro the Dragon and, of course, the recent Crash Bandicoot reboots, discuss going indie. Now, them going indie, of course, was a story. They obviously, when they made that announcement, they closed their offices. Everyone thought, oh, shit, Microsoft is closing Toys for Bob. We all did. And, of course, we all got angry. They happened to, unfortunately, lay off 162 people at that time. So it seemed like a disaster. But it turns out that they've gotten so good from working remotely, and they've been doing it for so many years, that it's now become standard fare on how they develop. And they've gotten so good at it that it's almost as they're in the office shoulder to shoulder. Now, how they do that, I have no idea because I'm not a developer. But yesterday, Canadian Guy, who now sits at 81,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel, congratulations to him, usually and has sat down and interviewed people from Toys for Bob. Like, he literally has a connection with the studio. And that's awesome. And that's why that makes this story so exciting, Korkenstein. Look, Banjo Kazooie, I understand it's a silly bird and a bear that goes all the way back to Rare on the N64 that a lot of people can give a flying shit about. And that's fine. But if there's one thing that I have been begging Microsoft for, literally had an opportunity to have dinner with Phil a couple of years ago, talked about it before, and I could have asked Phil anything. Like, we're just hanging out and we're talking about my time as a police officer, his time as an intern. It was an amazing conversation. And I could have asked him about any game. And I took the opportunity, my one shot, because I don't know when the next time I'm going to hang out with Phil for dinner, is Banjo Kazooie. And we had a great conversation. And again, some of the stuff we're not going to talk about because it's private, but I literally shot I shoot my shot, or whatever the kids like to say. I took it. I went for it. And it was Banjo Kazooie because those characters are important to me. I love platformers. Of course, I like going around and shooting people in the face with the Dragonfire shotgun. I do, which by the way, I don't know if anyone saw my post. I don't mean to take us off the rails here. I had 94 kills in a Call of Duty match last night, and I have it on tape. I'm going to put that together so you can see I was possessed. It was ridiculous. And by the way, if you're wondering what the kill-death ratio was, they only got me 40 times. I got them 94. So 54 plus for the old man who is 54, by the way. That's weird. I got to play that number. I got to figure out the number to play the 54, and maybe I'll be a millionaire. And then I can make my own Banjo Kazooie, goddammit. But look, let's get back to the story. So in this interview, and it was an interview in a weird way. So Canadian guy requested this standardized, in person or webinar type of interview. And unfortunately, they are 10 toes down into what is being called their most ambitious project they've ever done. And they're currently working with both Activision and Xbox on this project. What that project is, well, I have no idea, and it wasn't even suggested of what it could be. It's a big secret, but it's their biggest project they've ever worked on, and it's they're working with both Xbox and Activision in tandem, not just one on one project here, one project here. It's a combined big project. Now that tells me that again, this is just me, pulling straws. So I'm probably 1,000% wrong, but I think Korkenstein, it could be a racer. It could be the kart racer I've been begging for. It could be a open world character based platformer with all of these characters that the Conkers and the Spyros and the Crash and the Banjos. Could be that. It could be a Smash Brothers type of fighter, right, with all the characters. I would love that, absolutely. But they did, like, in this interview, which when I said it was done in a weird way, it was done via email. And while Canadian guy was doing his video, he was reading verbatim of what, when he asked a specific question, what the head of the studio responded. And towards the end, I think the video is about just a pinch under 9 minutes, not really long. But towards the end of the video, he specifically asked him, what would you guys want to work on? And folks, he said it. It's not a suggestion. It's not a rumor. It's not a leaked thought or theory. They literally said that being that they've already worked with Xbox, they would love to work on another Xbox IP known as the Honey Bear. He said it. Banjo Kazooie. Yes, I'm getting goosebumps. Yes, I'm a nerd. I don't care. Korkenstein, this is great news for the only three, because so far it's only three. No one in the chat has admitted that they're a Banjo bro. If you're a Banjo bro, please throw it in there so I can name you and you can now join the clan. We only have three people. It's me, it's Korkenstein, and it's Paris Lily. I don't know if anyone else exists, but if you are a Banjo person, Rick L says nerd alert. Yes, I'm a nerd. But Korkenstein, let's talk about Banjo Kazooie. And again, this is going to be years out, but listen, when you say it out there, when the head of the studio says, we want Banjo Kazooie, I think we're going to get it. Hopefully, before my hands stop working and I can no longer play video games. Talk about it, brother.
Yeah, I don't know. We might have to pull Paris's Banjo Bro card. He made a post saying having interest doesn't mean Banjo Kazooie is happening, and he has a sad face and he goes, "Until I see Phil Spencer standing on a stage making the announcement, I refuse to get my hopes up. You got to believe." How
dare
sir.
You, Paris? Shame on you, kind sir. You're so negative. My God.
You got to believe, sir. And I posted. That's what I posted, and I posted the Ted Lasso pointing up to the believe sign.
Yes.
For him. You got to believe, Paris. Stay strong, bud. Stay strong. Yeah, I would be awesome. I mean, I think if everybody knows, if there's any company that could do justice to the Banjo Kazooie IP, it's Toys for Bob. Everybody, before they separated from Microsoft or from Xbox, everybody thought that was going to be the company being tapped on the shoulder.
Yes.
Because Rare, correct me if I'm wrong. Rare says that they're not interested in revisiting, right? I believe I saw something. I just want to make sure I'm not misquoting.
No. I'll put it this way. I could legitimately tell you that for a fact that speaking with Phil Spencer when we had dinner, he literally said that there were two things he said. And this is not like breaking NDAs or anything. The one thing he started out with is, I don't force studios to make a game that they don't want to make. That's Phil Spencer. He said that publicly. This is not a surprise. So I'm just reiterating what he said to me. And he literally said that Rare like you said, they don't have any interest of returning to older IP, and they have to find someone that's right to make this game. That was way back in 2019. We're in 2025. That's a long time ago, folks. And well, here we are, where the head of Toys for Bob is literally saying, "We want to make this game." I think that is, he's saying it publicly, but I think that conversation's already been had before.
Yeah. I think so. And like I said, it's Toys for Bob is the studio that get tapped. Everybody thought that they would tap, but I think they're doing Spyro and Crash, I think right now. They've kind of hinted at that before, where they did the whole color palette and logos and stuff like that. So I mean, good for that. I mean, I really do. I mean, that's an open invitation right there, Phil. I mean, your whole thing here has been to diversify your portfolio. I think if anybody does diversify or I guess diversification or whatever it is. I think if anybody kind of diversifies their portfolio, it's Xbox. They have something for everyone.
Yes.
And I think that's I mean, I think that's kind of the last time that we really had something. Well, other than Super Lucky Tail, which I absolutely loved.
I beat both versions, by the way, both versions,
Yeah.
and they make no mistake, that game is freaking hard, dude. That last boss is ridiculous.
Yeah. And I would love for more of those types of platformer games. I know some people are like, it's for kids. I mean, Banjo Kazooie isn't really for kids, but because of some of the subject matter, things like that. But
yeah.
yeah, but I mean, it would still be fun to have that kind of 3D platforming, open world. That kiddish kind of gameplay style. It's very nostalgic, and I mean, whether it's the kids get it or not, it's still something fun for younger audiences to play. It's something a little bit more up their alley. I mean, it's all right there for you. So if Xbox doesn't already have it in the works, I mean, by the way, it sounds like they don't, sadly, because I mean, if they're saying we want it,
it's not, they're not working on it right now. They're
not working on it. So or it could be the start of hype. It could be a kind of a intentional kind of hey, let's get the Banjo Kazooie hype train a little started, get the fans hyping it up, start hashtagging about Banjo Kazooie and seeing what legs it has. So this could be intentional, but I mean, who knows? I do agree with Paris until Phil's standing on stage with his Banjo Kazooie shirt and saying about announcing Banjo Kazooie, then I get it, but yeah, I don't know. I would love for a Banjo Kazooie. It's time. I mean, and that's another thing. Xbox has so many IPs that granted, there's only so much space in a year. I mean, look at what we're getting already. Right. Within the first half of the year, we already had like 5-6 games. And we haven't even hit the second year. Or second half of the year. So Xbox is cooking, but I mean, let's stay. Let's stay strong, guys. Let's stay, Banjo Bros. We got to start. We got to stay united. Yes. And we got to have hope. We got to believe.
Look, again, this is where I put the business hat on. See, there are a lot of people in here that are legitimately like, I don't get the appeal to Banjo. If you don't, I get you. I understand. Not every game is for every gamer. But if you look. And again, this is where the business. I'm not coping, folks. I'm simply trying to present a reasoning for the existence of Banjo Kazooie, because some people think that it does not need to exist. Oh, okay. So tell that to Astrobot, which continues to win Game of the Generation, Game of the Universe, Game of every game ever made, best thing ever. And you know what? They're not wrong for the awards. Astrobot is a triumph. And if you are a diehard Sony fan, you didn't play that game, I have to take your card away. PlayStation card shredded right here, right to the left of me. You got to play that game. It's amazing, right? Look at how excited everyone got for Donkey Kong being able to, basically, it's Donkey Kong Dig Dug. That's really what it is. And everyone, including a big nerd like myself, was like, holy shit. $80-$70, I'm in, right? Like no excuses. I'm in for 2 copies because Tyler's gonna get one as well, right? So Is Banjo Kazooie as popular as Astrobot? Well, I don't know. You tell me. Is he as popular as N64 as Donkey Kong? Well, I'm going to say that the reason why Donkey Kong 64 existed was because of Banjo Kazooie. Like that's a fact, ladies and gentlemen, right? Um, so my pitch, Fuzzy Belvedere, isn't to try and make it make sense, right? I'm not in the business of doing that. I don't get paid for this, folks. But if you want a reasoning as to why there should be, or is there an audience for Banjo Kazooie? Well, first of all, what Banjo Kazooie doesn't have to be is a $300 million romp. Let's just call a spade a spade. It does not have to be that big of a game. And I think with ballooning budgets to be the way that they are, that game could come in 40, 50, 60, 70 million dollars, and you can make a competent, memorable platformer, right? So why would you take the chance? Why would you make something like this? Because here's the thing. Xbox and Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Play Anywhere and everything's an Xbox opens up the door for customers that you've never had before. And if Xbox is going to be successful, and it looks like they are being very successful, is being able to come out with an IP and put it everywhere, as well as you as a person, you're able to play it everywhere. You know, there's gonna do you know how right now you look at the generation of gamers, and you're talking about the tweens, you're talking about the 14-year-olds to the 19-year-olds. They all started with iPhones and tablets, and that's how they play today. So Xbox is transitioning from the standard box underneath your TV into being able to play well anywhere. And when you have a service like Xbox Game Pass, there are going to be different reasons for you to subscribe. You might subscribe because you like Call of Duty, or you like Madden, or you like games that are weird and off the cup, like that Blue Something that dropped into Game Pass. According to Paris Lilly, that's game of the generation, right? That's game of the year for him. I haven't played it yet. It doesn't look like it looks like, for me, it looks like Myst meets BioShock. I'm not a big Myst fan, so I don't know if I'm going to even play it, but it's there. It exists. And I think that something like Banjo Kazooie, if done with the love and care of a studio that knows how to do it, like Toys for Bob, this could bring back an IP that could warrant additional sequels. And again, folks, we're just pulling straws here. It may not make any sense to you because you're like, yeah, I'm not 5. I don't do platformers. You know what? I'll be a 5-year-old and I'll play platformers and I'll enjoy the shit out of it. But let's get your thoughts on the fact that they literally said that they want to work on it. I basically think that is not a shot across the bow. I think that is the door opening for Phil Spencer to get the right people to make this game. Toys for Bob is that studio. What are your thoughts, man?
I think it makes more sense now than it ever did before, for the fact that the Switch 2 is pretty much right around the corner, and Microsoft has gone with some titles being of the multi-plat persuasion. So if Toys for Bob is no longer a studio that you have to keep the lights on personally, they're their own independent studio, but you can, commission them to make games for you. Why not have it where you commission this and still have the licensing to put it on Nintendo and sell it there as well? I think it makes more sense now than when we were only looking at it being on Xbox. Yes, there are a lot of fans on Xbox that would love to see that game return, but I'm pretty sure there's a decent amount on Nintendo that would, that are picking up a Switch 2 that would like to see it as well. So I think there's a good opportunity for it to have a chance of being made or funded, just for the fact that now you can put it on PC or put it on Steam. You got the Steam Deck players where this would be a great portable style game. You have your Xbox ROG Ally coming out probably not too many months from now, like 6 months or less, let's say. So you have that portability aspect as well. And then the Switch 2. I mean, if you can make it work on the Switch 1, by all means, give it a shot. But I would say the Switch 2 would be the better baseline, because then it should definitely work on, the Series S and X, as well as the Steam Deck, without much of a problem. Uh, it makes sense because you now have a wider variety of places that people can play this. I mean, if you want to put it on PlayStation, by all means, and if it winds up outdoing Astrobot's 2 million sales, so be it. But I think in the grand scheme of things, it's easy enough to take a platformer that has the nostalgia aspect to it, give it a fresh coat of paint, take some of the best aspects of platforming in the last 10 years, and you have a title that will probably do at least a couple million on your primary platform, and probably double that on the Switch platform. But I think there's a real opportunity for them to make a game that could reach 10 million easily without it being AAA budget. Like you said, they could spend probably 50 to 70 mil. I mean, that's still a lot of money, but it's nowhere near in the 300 mil range where a lot of these AAA games are going. And at that point, you could probably make that back in your first weeks of sales. So I don't know. I think it's a good thing for them to try. And they have still a lot of other IP. I mean, there's still more Crash that can be made. Conquer would be a nice revisit as well, but start off with this, see how it does on your primary platform and the Nintendo Switch 2, and go from there. I think there's the sales aspect that can be, you make the argument for the amount of sales to make it worthwhile, and just having your own platformer. Yes, South of Midnight is a platformer as well, but it is a totally different looking style in comparison. So if you want to have the, I guess, more family friendly without the heavy themes or adult like themes involved, Banjo Kazooie would be a perfect go to at that point. So I think it's worthwhile.
I mean, look, if anyone remembers when they used to have these giant reveal parties for the Smash characters, that's like a thing, right? That was like a really big thing. And again, folks, this is just being a nerd, and I don't care. I watched countless parties with a group of kids. And when Banjo Kazooie was announced, just go look for it. It's so fun to watch everyone's reaction. And that's the thing. Like, Banjo means something to an old man like me because I went to Toys R Us to buy Banjo Kazooie for the N64 with my pops. You know what I'm saying? So that means something to me. But these kids, what do they know about Banjo Kazooie? Banjo Kazooie has a massive presence on the on the Switch, and of course through Smash Brothers. And listen, there's a market for platformers, and you're onto something. If this releases on the Switch 2 and it's selling at $80, right? It drops in the Game Pass day and date, goes to Steam, goes to even the PlayStation. Maybe Astrobot finds his way into the game. What do I know? But I'm just saying that their multi-platform strategy for a game like that, you ask, why does Banjo-Kazooie need to exist? Well, he doesn't have to exist, but I think that if you are trying to appeal to a new audience, and that new audience is whether it be via the Switch, whether it be via PlayStation, whether it be, handheld gaming, whether it be on a tablet, everything's going to be an Xbox at some point. You are trying to get new customers, and you don't want to sell to the same people. Banjo and Kazooie are appealing characters. They're all the characters that are around them, Witchy Poo and the rest of them. They're weird. They're different. They're storybook-esque. And this world kind of sucks right now. I think we could use more storybook kind of characters to kind of lighten the load of how just real life just sucks. This was an amazing show. Again, I ended it on Banjo-Kazooie because, like I said, I'm a nerd. I do not apologize for being one. And I hope that this is not a smoke signal, because, again, the Toys for Bob, the head of the studio, is they're working with Xbox right now. So I'm sure that conversation has already happened. I think if you just, again, go watch Canadian Guy's video, he's a little coy in how he's doing it. and it's very well done. Like I said, I'm a fan of this guy. Yeah, and he's talking about Banjo Kazooie. I'm in, but the way he does the video and the way he says it is almost if it's already been talked about, right? He doesn't specifically say that, but if you watch the video and you read the room, it's happening. And Parasoli, how dare you, kind sir, to give up Banjo, bro? I'm taking your card. No, I can't take his card. There's only 3 of us. We gotta keep as many of us as possible.